Welcome everyone to our weekly digital marketing spotlight series here produced by Digital Summit. I'd like to welcome today my special guest, Jon-Mikel Bailey. He is the Chief Development and Marketing Officer at Wellspring Digital. He has been a speaker with us at Digital Summit as well as many other events, and his career spans over 20 years in digital marketing. Now, we won't talk about any age thing, John, because you and I are around there, but 20 years is still relatively young, but it's also, seasons you quite a bit. So basically,
started when I was 12.
Yeah, right. Same here. 11 for me.
Yeah,
I got in early. So tell us about Wellspring Digital and your role there.
Sure. So Wellspring Digital is a full service digital marketing agency. So we do, standard issue stuff like search engine optimization, marketing automation, pay-per-click, content, social media marketing, that sort of thing. Been in business about 3 years. I joined the company in January. We're a small but very smart and very seasoned team who really gets stuff done. So it's been a joy working with this team, even through the nightmare we're going through.
That's great. So tell me about that a little bit. How is business holding up in 2020? What has changed?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of other marketing agencies out there that I've talked to and heard from, when a lot of the shutdowns started happening, everybody was getting calls from their clients going, we have to stop spending immediately, and it kind of felt like 9/11 all over again, but a little bit different. But as I said, we're a small, scrappy team. We have a bunch of seasoned professionals, and we all just huddled together and said, what do you guys think? What's everybody think? What are we going to do? We lost a bunch of revenue overnight, and we just said, you know what? We're going to fight for this. And so that's what we did. We rolled up our sleeves and we started picking up the phone, and we started, winning some of those clients back and impressing upon them that now is not the time to turn off your marketing spigot. And some of them said, yeah, okay, let's re-engage. And then we got some other clients. So, it's not been a banner year by any means, but it certainly has, we've weathered the storm so far. We've kept our team intact. We actually hired a couple people during this period, and we're looking to hire a few more. So, it's been a tough year. I'm not going to lie. That's great. It's across the board.
That's great. You were able to get some hires and win some clients back. So let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Unfortunately, marketing is one of the things that always seems to get the axe and budget cuts. It's seen as more of an overhead problem. And everyone knows you got to spend money to make money, do it correctly. So talk about how some of those conversations went with your clients and the things you had to do. Were you invited in the room to talk to sort of maybe the higher ups, or, how did you guys go about that? What was your strategy there?
It depended on the client. Some of the clients, we just needed to get on the phone and have an honest conversation with them. And I think once they really heard us, say that we understood where they were and what they were dealing with, and that we weren't trying to just, squeeze money out of them, I think they started to understand, okay, all right, this is a company I can trust, A, and B, they're not looking to cash in. They're just looking to help me, not do further damage. As marketers know, as soon as you stop all activity, you're not hurting yourself just right in that point in time. You're hurting yourself potentially into the near and long-term future, especially if you're talking about something like content marketing and SEO.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So what we had to do is have open, honest conversations with them and, work out some deals and figure out some ways to work within their budgets and really pivot. Some clients, it may have made sense pre-COVID to put a lot of money into PPC. And then, post-COVID, they said, you know what? I think we really need to focus less on PPC and more on getting our content marketing going, getting our social media presence solidified, that sort of thing. So there was a lot of those kinds of pivots, and and you know, being flexible with our clients and making them understand that, you know, we can work with them, we can be flexible, we can keep their marketing machine moving forward so that they're not gonna, you know, come out on the other side of this thing in worse shape than they were when they, you know, when they went into it. So I think that was a big point that resonated with a lot of our clients is, look, don't shoot yourself in the foot here, just because, you know, you have another gunshot wound somebody somewhere else. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think there was an initial panic from
Sure.
across the board with the economy, and it was like, whoa, we weren't, no one was expecting it, and we've never had to deal with it before.
Yeah.
So I think once we got over a little bit of that shock, now unfortunately for us, you know, live events, in-person events, not happening so much. So a reminder to everyone, we do have our virtual events. We have one every month. We just had a very
They're great.
successful one this month. We've got another one coming up on September 8th, 10th. We have a deadline this week, so get your chance in. Get your tickets now while prices are still down a little bit. And we also have one every month after that we encourage you to check out. Also, we are live on Facebook. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and post them there. Again, we're talking to Jon-Mikel Bailey. He is the Chief Development and Marketing Officer at Wellspring Digital. John,
and if I could,
yeah,
real quick,
yeah.
You know, you bring up that point about what you all have gone through, and it's you know, organizations that do live events across the board. And you know, I've been impressed with what Digital Summit has done and a lot of other organizations in terms of recognizing that a pivot was absolutely necessary. And the speed and agility with which so many organizations, including Digital Summit, made those shifts has just been really impressive to watch. And I think, you know, not to get all you know, patriotic or anything, but I think it is something that is unique to this country is here's a problem, let's solve it. You know, let's take a really unique problem and come at it with a really unique solution. So I think we're going to see a lot of innovation come out of this thing, which I think is a net positive.
I definitely agree. And you're seeing a ton of it in digital, and digital is, you know, it always was hot. It's even hotter. But it reminds me of one of my favorite sayings, which is, it's not what happens to you that defines you, it's how you react to it.
Exactly.
And so reacting to it is, you know, I always tell my kids when they complain about their teachers or anything, it's like, you can complain all you want, but guess what happens when you're done complaining? The problem is still there.
Yep.
We gotta deal with it head on. Sage advice from us older dudes, right?
Right. Been around the block.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of which, you know, what are some of the hot topics that Wellspring Digital is helping clients with right now? Like, what's hot?
The hot thing right now is really, and it sounds funny to call this, you know, sort of the hot topic, but you know, I think organizations are really having an awakening and looking at themselves and going, you know what? Nobody really knows who we are. Nobody truly really knows who we are, and you know, ergo doesn't necessarily have a reason to be loyal to us. And so I think what we're seeing in you know, some of our clients at least is that they really need to build up that relationship and explore that relationship that they have with their existing clients, as well as you know, carry over their core values into how they market themselves to potential new clients. And I think, you know, we're seeing you know, good and bad versions of this across the board. Some of the commercials that, you know, we've all seen with the slow piano and we're going to get through this together and all that sort of stuff, you know, rings hollow. But I think a lot of other companies are coming to us and going, you know, how do we re-engage with our fan base? How do, you know, because I think another thing that has happened is the economy was on, you know, a steady trajectory for so long that clients almost took it for granted that they were going to get business, and they almost took their client base for granted. And so I think a lot of them had to sort of humanize themselves as a brand and really, you know, really step back and understand, okay, yes, we're hurting, but so are our clients. And, you know, just like we had a conversation with our clients and truly had to understand their pain and work with them through a problem. Every business is having to do that. And so I think smart marketers are seeing that and figuring out ways to not exploit it, but to sort of expand on it and get really back to the basics of messaging and the basics of understanding your audience and connecting with that audience and empathy. It's funny because marketers have been talking about this stuff for years and preaching and saying, you need to be real, you need to be human, you need to connect with your audience on a real level. And I think it's taken a pandemic for some business to go, wow, all these, hippy skippy marketers were right. So
well, you bring up a great point there because, practice now you have to put it into practice. So the brands who had been practicing it for years are the ones you're finding out on the other side of this COVID issue, the ones that have navigated it well and are doing it well and it hasn't really affected their campaigns or their commercials. Coke went off the air for a while, then came right back. They didn't do anything drastic, but the ones that have been practicing what they've been saying are the ones that, are coming out of this, looking really great.
Exactly. And, I read a book, I think you guys actually had her on, Sarah Weiss or Weiss, I can't remember, sorry. She wrote a book called Instabrain about, marketing to Gen Z. And one of the things that really struck me about that book is how, how important the deep dives are to that generation. And I think what I mean to say by that is that your clients aren't just going to look at your website and place an order. They're going to look at you all over the place, and they really want to know truly, deeply, who you are as an organization, what you stand for, what you believe in. And if that doesn't come across, they're going to go away, especially that generation. Because they're bombarded with information anyway. They want something that connects with them. And so, and that's why I think some brands are even doing more damage, because they're doing these, we're in this together and we care and come do business with us. It's not working because people don't believe it. People have to believe that you truly care about your people at your organization. They have to believe that you truly care about your community where you are and where you do business. And they have to believe that you care about your clients, and not just because they give you money, but because they are part of your larger community. So, I mean, if I agree with your sentiment that the companies that either get it now and put it into practice, or have, gotten it for years and have been practicing it, they're going to come out on the other side of this in much, much better shape than the ones that just said, no, we just want your money.
Yeah. A great example of that is Ben & Jerry's, right? Yeah. Ben & Jerry's has been on the front of social causes, et cetera. And when Black Lives Matter comes out, that doesn't look fake. It's been in their DNA, not just things they do in social and digital in their marketing, but it transcends their company.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that was one of the topics you said that is big for you right now, is brand humanization. Is that what we're talking about here? Is brand humanization?
I think so. Some marketers get mad at that term and say brands are brands and they're not human. They're companies and whatever. And I understand that sentiment. And I think both can be true. I think the humanization of your brand is more really just, you have to, I don't know if you can see this, but our three words that we believe in, integrity, transparency, and results. And we believe in those things so deeply that they dictate how we operate on a regular basis, and our clients can see that. We don't lie. We show you what we're doing. We keep it above board, and we try to produce for you. And if we can't, we're honest about it and say, let's look at something else. And I think, that's what I mean by humanization is, if you have a friend that constantly, just screws you over, you're not going to be friends anymore. And I think brands almost have to look at their clients as a kind of a friend, more than just a casual acquaintance. They have to look at them as part of their team, part of their tribe, and they have to treat them as such. And I think that comes through in marketing, that comes through in sales. Some of the best salespeople are the salespeople that listen more than they speak. They're the salespeople that go out and meet with a company, and that company feels like, okay, this salesperson really understands what our needs are. We want to do business with them. So I think we can market. I even think we can advertise. I think we can do SEO and try to rank. I think we can, do marketing automation, and all the various different, machine learning, big data things. We can do all those things as long as we're true to our core values as an organization. So I think that's, and I've written a couple posts about it, and I feel really strongly about it. I think if your company doesn't have core values, you're building on sand. There's no solid foundation, and there's no real understanding of what you believe in and what you expect to, translate out to your clients. So I think it's really important. And I think, for better or for worse, I think this pandemic is definitely opening some eyes in terms of how a successful organization should function.
Yeah, great. Good stuff. Hey, I saw that your background covers a lot in digital, but mostly heavier on the web development and particularly the SEO side. And you did write a blog I saw about Google EAT, and I was had the privilege to be in a search conference earlier this year where that was discussed. But tell everybody what EAT is about, besides just eating, because I like to eat. But this is particularly about Google.
Google wants to eat you. No, so EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And so originally what it started out as is Google, most people don't know this, but Google actually employs thousands of people that they basically say, here's a set of guidelines that we want you to read through and understand, and then go and use our product, go and use Google, and make sure that the results that you get adhere to these guidelines. And EAT, once they clarified what the acronym meant, was mentioned something like 130 some times throughout this document. And it was like a 160 some page document. So it was clear to these, and they published these guidelines for everyone. So the SEOs got this and said, okay, well, we're not certain it's a ranking signal, but it seems pretty dang important to Google, that these websites show an expertise, an authoritativeness, and a trustworthiness. And I think, my point in my post was, well, they've kind of been saying that all along. Every update that they roll out is one more step towards getting rid of the riffraff, getting rid of the guys that try to game the system, the black hat, and even people that might not necessarily be specifically, purposefully trying to game the system, but are just doing just junk stuff. Every update has been about that. They want the sites to be faster, so the users have a better experience. They want the sites to load on mobile and work well on mobile, so the user has a better experience. They want, when you click on one of those links, whether it be an ad or an organic search result, that the person that goes to that link goes, wow, this really answered my question. So they keep telling you over and over and over again, make sure that you're producing quality content, not a ton of content all the time, just with keywords, but content that solves problems. I mean, you hear Google talk and talk and talk about, and people just don't seem to hear this, is your content should be good. It should help people. It should solve problems, or it should entertain. It should do something. But if you are an organization, say a medical organization, people should go to your website and feel that you're an expert, that they can trust you, and that you're an authority on the subject matter. And if you're not, those people are going to leave. Well, guess what? Google is also saying, if you're not, that you're not going to rank. They're not saying that explicitly, although I'm hearing some SEOs saying it's mattering more and more. And I think it's actually Lily Ray, who I interviewed, who's a phenomenal SEO and also a drummer and a DJ and just an all around cool person. But she wrote an article basically saying that, maybe it's Google Eat, maybe it's something else. But when COVID hit, a lot of these medical sites, like like the sites that, I don't know about you, but my wife, the sites that she goes on and goes down the rabbit hole and gets all kinds of medical advice on this website, and then is convinced that
my wife's a nurse, so my wife says, do not go get medical advice from the internet.
Yeah. So yeah, terrible. Anyway, sorry, sidetrack. But my point is that they go to these sites and they get this information because they've been trustworthy. Well, when COVID hit, a lot of those sites lost a ton of traffic, and it's because Google said, well, okay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We don't need to put up these answer sites. What we need to put up are sites like CDC and the World Health Organization and things like that actually are official sites with Johns Hopkins, that sort of thing. So, and you're going to see more of that. You're going to see Google make those shifts. So I think businesses really need to take Google Eat seriously. And that also goes back to the whole humanization of your brand. What are your core values? What are you trying to tell people? Are you really trying to help people out, or are you just trying to get money from them? If rankings are important to you, you should take Eat seriously. It sounds so weird to say.
It does.
You should really eat. It's important. Yeah.
All right, we're coming up toward the end, and I wanted to ask you this question.
Yeah.
I saw that you have a background in photography.
Yeah.
And like myself, I have a background in PR. If you would ask me when I was younger what I'd be doing in 20, 25 years, I would have never have guessed this because it didn't exist. So right. The two of us are in that unique boat of people who remember when there wasn't a Google and there wasn't an iPhone, and we sort of stumbled across this as a career. So what advice would you give to younger marketers?
Find something that you're passionate about and get really good at it. It's important to have a baseline of, it's important to understand what code is, but you don't have to know how to code. It's important to understand the elements of design if you're not a designer, but you don't have to know how to design. It's always important to be able to write. I think that's just, general advice. The English language, that's what we speak. Let's write well and all that sort of thing. But I think it's important to find what you're passionate about and really do a deep dive there. Because what we see when we interview people is people that have a little bit of knowledge in a lot of areas, which is fine. And sometimes those people are very useful. But I think the people that can go further are the people that go, SEO really, gets me going. I got to go really learn some SEO, or, I'm interested in event marketing or whatever. Don't paint yourself into a corner, but certainly explore your passion. I found out pretty early my passion really wasn't photography. I love taking pictures. I loved film. I loved the whole thing. But my passion really wasn't photography. What my passion is telling stories and marketing and digital marketing and helping companies put themselves out there in a better way. So that's what I've always been driven towards. So I think that's what I would say. Find your passion and dive in.
That's great. That's a great answer, because unlike when we started in this space, we had websites, a little bit of email marketing, SEO. I mean, you couldn't even, pay-per-click didn't exist. You couldn't buy your ads on Google. And so now there's so much. So I think that's great advice, is find something that you're passionate about and read and be really good at it and see. I always give people advice too, is you want your company to see you as the subject matter expert in what you're really good at. And if you do that, and as advice my uncle gave me when I was younger, be really good at something and someone will pay you for it.
You want your boss to introduce you as, the expert in your field.
Right.
In that discipline, in my opinion.
That's great. Good talk, good advice.
Yeah.
He's Jon-Mikel Bailey. He's with Wellspring Digital. Check him out, which, by the way, I took a gander. You guys have a really good blog. I encourage everyone to see that. Digital summits. We've got a summit coming up in September. Pricing deadline this week. Check it out. We've got one every month through the end of this year. They've been doing great. We've been getting great feedback. And John, hopefully we'll see you speaking one of those soon.
Yes, I live for that day.
All right, my friend. We'll see you.
Thank you.